Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. This is a podcast where we watch movies that we haven't seen yet. I'm your host today, Betsy, and with me as always is Trent.
Hello, Betsy.
Today, we are traveling just a little ways back in time to 2021 to watch a movie that neither of us have seen. We are watching The Mitchells versus the Machines. This is a movie that has been recommended to us a number of times by a lot of different people in our lives.
Yeah, since it came out.
And we just haven't sat down to watch it. It's one of those Netflix exclusive movies. It got nominated for an Oscar, I think. I think this was up for animated.
I mean, there's not a lot of animated movies that come out every year.
No.
Certainly not features.
And we talked a lot about this when we watched Moana because those two movies have kind of a through line. So neither of us has seen this, but Trent, why don't you tell us what you know about The Mitchells versus the Machines?
So I'm basically going to recite the trailer because Betsy and I watched a trailer not long ago.
Oh, no, you watched it. I didn't even watch it.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah, you walked in.
I was doing something else.
You walked in halfway through when I was watching the trailer. So excuse me.
So you know more about this than I do.
I guess. I mean, I barely remembered anything about the movie. I mean, it seems to me like it is kind of it's a family comedy. It's a dysfunctional family, but it's kind of a normal family where in this world, like every other family out there is like really, really tight and they get along really well and they have a thing. This family isn't any of those things. There's also a thing about the machines, because that's the other half of the title, and I guess the Earth or whatever planet these people are on are invaded by machines, or it's maybe like a weird Skynet thing where it's AI and machines become sentient. I don't know.
My assumption, not having watched this trailer, and based on the title alone and just scrolling past it on Netflix occasionally, is one of two things. Either you're right, some force comes to Earth and takes over the machines, and they turn on humans, or the machines become sentient on their own. Those are the most logical things, and then the family has to fight back.
I hope it's the latter, because that's more fun. I want evil AI, but cartoons.
It's fun when it's a movie. It's not fun in real life.
No, not at all. And maybe there's going to be some this came out in 2021 before AI was the big craze. So, yeah.
Do you know anybody who's in this?
I mean, I saw that Maya Rudolph was in it just by hovering over the thing on Netflix. Other than her, I have no idea.
Excellent. So I'm basically going into this blind.
Yeah.
You are going into this semi-blind.
Mostly blind.
So with that, we're just going to go and check it out. We are going to go watch The Mitchells versus the Machines. We will be right back. And we're back. That was The Mitchells versus the Machines. Trent, what did you think of that movie?
That was fantastic. Wow, I am very impressed by that.
So we knew going in, we didn't say this in the intro, but this is a Sony Animation Studios production. So this is the same group of people that brought us Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse,
and
across the
Spider-Verse, yeah.
And if you've been paying attention, listeners, you know we deeply appreciate both of those movies.
Not only for just the overall presentation, like the movies themselves are excellent. We've covered one of them on this show before.
The story is really interesting and compelling.
Yeah, but it's just the visuals and the little extra things that they throw into every single movie. And I think this movie, along with any other movie that pays that close attention to the little details, are the ones that really stand out to me.
Well, it's also just a style choice. Like, there's so much going on here that's like mixed media. There is live action footage. There is like hand-drawn animation, there's computer animation, there's like video of computer animation, but it's on a Sony camera. So it's like these weird layers of how you have to animate this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just delightful. I figured we were really gonna like this one, and I was not disappointed.
I really didn't know what to expect because based on the trailer, yeah, there are some segments in here that seemed kind of funny, but I didn't know I was gonna love it. Like, seriously, I'm not that into, like, we don't cover a lot of animated movies.
Well, and for every one that's really good,
yeah,
there's a lot that are just fine to bad.
Right. And
I don't know that there's any truly awful ones that get made, but they're not great.
This one seemed to me like it might have been one of those just phone it in and crap it out on Netflix and it's just going to be fine. But no, I had no idea this is the same kind of group of people, the same studio that made Into the Spider-Verse. And we fucking love those movies.
And we loved this one.
Yeah.
This one was a good time.
So I really appreciated the main character here, Katie. Katie, to me, I would love to be friends with Katie because Katie seems like our kind of people. Not to get way into the movie itself yet, but we're those kind of weirdos.
They even say at the end of the movie, a weird movie by weird people. So I get it because you and I, growing up where we did, you know, you stand out sometimes. You're a little bit unusual compared to most of the people around you.
If you don't fit into the predetermined buckets that we were all kind of put into in high school, and I know this is a modern movie and, you know, society has developed past 2003 when we both graduated from high school. But it's made by people around our age, I'm sure, because the people who made this movie probably have children about this age who are already graduating high school, which is a really weird thing to say, but it's true.
I don't like the math.
Yeah. So I appreciate that they have taken that kind of a mentality of, hey, let's just put one of these weird kids like we were on screen, and you know, they were obsessed with movies and like they grew up in a generation with YouTube already being a thing and you could make your own movies and upload them for free and you can show them to all your friends and it's super easy to do. But then the parents are just kind of left behind and they don't really know anything and yeah.
This is an interesting combination of our parents, but also us, but also we're the parent and we're the kids.
Yeah.
Because the parents in this movie are more akin to what our parents are, where they're just like left behind as far as the technology goes. They do it to an extent. Dad is helpless. We'll cover that later. But then also, like you were saying, the generation brought up on YouTube, like any people our age who have kids, they were born with YouTube.
They're born with the internet in general.
But we also are these kids because that's who made this movie. Is
right.
If we made movies about ourselves when we were teenagers, this is kind of what it would be.
Pretty close.
No, I think you have said many times you were a lot more introverted and didn't find your group until you got out of high school. Same thing with me. I didn't find my group until I went to college. So I identified deeply with this character, feeling super out of place, super out of touch with where she is. I also appreciated the fact that before they identified where this started, that I spotted it. I was like, this is giving me serious Midwest vibes.
Totally.
I was like, there's like wood paneling everywhere.
House.
The tchotchkes, the cows, and the weird stuff. Dad is like obsessed with hunting and jackalopes.
Dad is an outdoorsy type that hasn't kept up with technology.
So I'm like, okay, I am just really sensing some familiarity to where I grew up.
Yeah.
And then we see the license plate, this is Michigan. I was like, oh, yep, called it.
Yep.
This is very much the kind of place that we both grew up. This is very much the kind of place we still live now and the sort of people that we know in our lives.
Totally.
So there are so many things that feel very familiar about the structure of this story. But I need to point something out if you haven't observed this already.
All right.
I'm just gonna say it. This is a goofy movie for Generation Alpha.
Oh, fuck me. Oh, fuck me.
If you hadn't identified it, it is a dad and a teenage child who are butting heads and don't quite understand each other.
Go on a road trip.
And it becomes a bonding thing, and they are changed for the better because of it.
God damn it, you're right.
I just wanted to say that because I didn't know if you had also been feeling that. But it makes sense. The guys who made this movie, when they were growing up, about the same time we were, that is the movie that we were all obsessed with, was a Goofy movie. So yeah, this is an updated version.
I mean, it's the dad teaching the kid some, like, survival techniques. Hey, use the little cigarette lighter to make soup. You can come up here and I'll teach you how to drive stick.
There's the perfect cast. There's the Rick Mitchell maneuver.
That's right.
Everybody's got their thing.
Okay, Max, now here's your junction.
And there's a big moment at the end where they come together and they say, I love you, and everyone, like, weeps in the audience.
But Betsy, there's a very important thing missing here.
What's that?
Power line. Who's the power line? Where's our song?
We didn't get a power line moment. No, that could simply be because structurally,
it doesn't make any sense.
This is the kind of thing that people go through. It is very common for teenage girls and teenage boys to not get their parents, and their parents don't get them.
Totally.
And there's this
Especially if there's a giant age gap. Like, my parents had me when they were 37. That is not common.
No, you were a little baby boy.
Yeah.
And they were solidly in middle age.
Right.
So it just adds layers where it's like, I don't understand your language, your technology, the things you are interested in don't interest me. You've talked to me about how your dad didn't understand your video games, but he tried. Like, you would want to play with someone. You're an only child. You wanted someone to play video games with you.
Right.
The only person around to do it is either your dad or your mom, and it is not his strong suit.
But you know what? He tried, and he did find a couple that he really liked. I've talked about this before on something, I can't remember what it was, but he and I would play RBI Baseball for the NES. And those of you who are about my age, you know what RBI Baseball is. It's one of the best baseball games ever made, and it's one of my favorite games of all time because I have that history with my dad.
But it just adds that element of, I don't know what my kids like. I just don't get it. Like, that's just a trope of parents.
Yeah.
And it's like you're friends with your kids when they're growing up, your kids love you, and then they get to be teenagers and they're trying to figure themselves out. And all of a sudden it's like, you don't understand me, Dad. You don't understand me, Mom.
Like, I got super into, like, computers, and, like, my folks got me, like, a very old used computer. And I taught myself everything that I know today. Essentially, on, like, old computers, I taught myself. I didn't learn it from a book. Nobody told me how to do anything. I just learned.
You poked it with a stick.
And I couldn't ask my parents, like, how does my computer work? How do I get this thing to go? They're not going to know that. But they never discouraged me away from doing stuff like that and trying to figure things out because, my dad is very mechanically inclined. He was a mechanic my entire life.
Yours is a family of tinkerers.
We are.
All the men in your family, in one way or another,
right,
do something with their hands.
But I am not mechanically inclined, but I can understand how a computer works. I can understand how software works to a point. I mean, I don't understand it now, but when I was a kid, those were the things that I went off by myself and I learned over here while they just kind of let me be.
And in this movie, of course, he doesn't get it. Dad doesn't get it, but it's mostly coming from a place of, I don't want you to fail and I'm afraid for you. Because that's what dads do. They are protective and they love you and they just want what's best. And it doesn't make sense to them. Like, oh, I want to go make movies. That's what I want to do.
Right.
If I had told my parents that I wanted to go to college for movies, but not making movies, like just talking about movies, like movie history or something, they would have probably looked at me like I was insane and been like, okay, how are you going to make a career of that? But I was lucky that I had supportive parents where they just sort of let us do whatever we wanted. I have a brother with an acting degree, and most parents would be like, well, that's a stupid thing to do. How are you going to make money?
In this part of the country?
In this part of the country. But my brother's not an idiot. He also knows I have to have an income and I have to be able to support myself. Right. So he figures out a way to do both. But not all parents do that. Most parents will be like, well, why don't I just talk you out of that and talk some sense into you? That's the dad in this movie where he is just saying, you sure? You sure you want to do that? 'Cause I'm worried for you.
And I think him not really trying for so many years after there's that split where she becomes her own person and she gets, sucked into this phone and sucked into the internet, sucked into, making these movies with her brother and her dog and not really having any friends. We don't see any friends that she's hanging around with, at least in the early parts of this movie. Of course, she probably has friends, but...
Or a friend.
But there really wasn't any kind of, from what I could glean here, there wasn't a lot of effort made by the father to try to understand, okay, well, what is it that you're doing here? How did you set that up? How in the world did you get that onto the computer? How did you get it on the internet? How can I see it on my phone? How does this phone even work? The sequences of the father struggling with technology are one of our favorite things, I think.
Because we identify our own fathers in this.
Yeah. I don't think my dad really, really used the internet. He still doesn't. But he didn't really use the internet until, I would say, 5 years ago. If I'm going to put a number on it, it's probably 5 years ago, because this is when I think my mom finally got a smartphone and we gave him an old iPad, and he finally started poking around the iPad, and my mom showed him some stuff that he could do.
Let's play a game called Whose Dad Still Has a Flip Phone?
Yeah.
Neither of our dads
Yeah.
has worked up the gumption to get a smartphone. Though I wonder if your dad isn't creeping ever closer to it.
Oh, that'll never happen.
No?
No.
Even with the iPad?
He will never have a smartphone, because I think he has got it in his mind that the phone I have in my pocket is something that is indestructible. Because we have always ever bought him. My dad was a mechanic, by trade.
He dropped it.
Yeah, he dropped it all the time, and he was rough with his phones, and we would never give him something that is very delicate.
Okay.
Same thing with your dad. Your dad's a farmer.
Yeah.
So he's not going to have it out there with him, working on a tractor or whatever the fuck he's doing out there.
Okay, I guarantee you, if we threw a rock, we could find a farmer around here with a smartphone.
Of course. I'm not saying it's just because of that.
It's just mostly... I think they're set in their ways, and that's too much. I was amazed when I found out your dad was getting into the iPad. They got an extra one. We just got them set up with a brand new one.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be unstoppable.
Now he has a brand new iPad. It can do everything but faster.
But in this movie, to bring it back to the movie, the fact that dad, like you said, doesn't seem to really be trying. He's not investing the time trying to understand his daughter and what she's into until the end of the movie. It literally hinges upon his ability to go on the website on this giant phone, to go to YouTube and to look up this video and hit play. And in grand tradition, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And he says, it only took me 28 minutes and a lot of tears.
A lot of crying.
A lot of crying. And that sequence is just so fucking perfect. I've seen the chicken pecking the W with one finger, W, and he's typing out dot because he doesn't understand he has to hit period.
Right, and these pop-ups keeps coming up here about, hey, you need to update your phone, and I still have to go over to my parents' house to help them with the updates on their phones.
He accidentally turns everything into Spanish.
Yeah.
He's just panicking.
Literally,
He panics.
literally, when we set up the new iPad, I took the old one from them, and they said, "Oh, the orientation is locked. It's always
It won't turn.
It won't turn, even though I turn it this way and this way. You accidentally pressed this button that locked it into that orientation, and you just don't know that you did it.
And it's not just a dad
it's not
thing.
their fault.
It's really not. It's just, if you're not born like this generation is, where you basically come out of the womb and you're handed an iPad.
Right.
You are not going to be expected to understand everything. My grandma is almost 98 years old, and she has a smartphone, and she knows enough how to use it, but she is
Sure.
never going to use it to its full capacity. I don't use my iPhone to its full capacity.
But you know what? No one ever does, because that's not what they're meant for. Like when people started getting like full-ass computers to put on a desk, like all they ever used it for was email to start off, and then it started to become an internet machine. And you know, you do a little bit of email, you do a little bit of word processing, you do a little bit of spreadsheets, you do your bills on there, and you know, that's about what people use computers for these days. But now it's all in your phone.
Okay, but this all starts in this movie because there is a tech company and there is a young, hip Steve Jobs type that is trying to advance technology, and all of the phones have a system called PAL, which I assume is an obvious reference to the AI in 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is called HAL.
Right. It is also a modern version or a different version of like a Siri or an Alexa, things like that.
Voiced by Olivia Colman to perfection.
Yes.
And she is the trusty advisor to this guy, but he immediately throws her out the window and says, "We've upgraded the system and now we have PAL Max, and it is a robot." And then the robots immediately turn evil because PAL doesn't like being discarded.
Yes, and like you said, it's a play on HAL 9000 from A Space Odyssey, and it has the little red eye on their display, so good on you for that. But did you also notice that these robots resemble like those those Honda Aibo dogs and like those kinds of robots that started coming out in the early 2000s?
I didn't think about that, but now that you've planted the idea, yes, this is a pretty standard version of what is a sleek futuristic robot.
Yeah.
When we are talking about it.
Right, and like of course after they're introduced, they're basically like Iron Man machines. Like,
oh yeah, you were like Iron Man 3.
This is Iron Man 3 basically, with all of them flying around.
Iron Man 2 and 3 and the Avengers Age of Ultron and
Ultron,
a lot of other things.
It's more Ultron because they're all evil.
They are. The AI goes evil, a standard trope that we seem to keep talking about recently.
Yeah, and I was right. It was the rogue AI like taking over, and like there's not really a reason why it goes bad other than it feels slighted by being replaced.
Yeah, tossed aside. Like, I've had enough of your stupid human ways. You drop me in the pool, you touch me with your filthy food fingers.
I love that scene.
You throw me, you program my replacement on myself, on my face. And she just has enough. Not that, again, you can't gender a phone and an AI, but it's Olivia Colman, so that's what I'm gonna do.
It's also Eric Andre as the tech guy, as Mark, by the way.
The tech guy. And then the other more modern robots are voiced by Beck Bennett and Fred Armisen, because there's a lot of like SNL through line here.
There's a lot of SNL alums in here. To say nothing about Maya Rudolph, of course, she was always on SNL, and Jay Farrow was a character in here. I didn't catch who it was.
Yeah, that's the thing about movies like this, is I recognize voices sometimes.
Yep.
But if they don't give me the credits at the beginning of the movie, I don't know who's in it.
Right.
I'm playing catch up the whole time.
Well, and a very minor SNL alum, Conan
O'Brien
himself.
That bit was great, where he's like a weird robot flight attendant explaining to the humans on the video, we're going to blast you into space, and then we're going to recreate the world in our own image, and it's going to be beautiful.
Right. They're putting everybody on these weird triangle spaceships that are not explained. Then you're just going to be launched out into space to go
into
nowhere.
The infinite void.
To go nowhere.
Yeah. They're just going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
We've captured all of the humans on all of these little pods, and off you go. And it would have worked, too, if it weren't for you pesky Mitchells. But yes, they go on this wacky adventure where they're on their road trip, they bond, they have to survive this apocalypse, this robotic apocalypse.
Of course, they're the only ones that did not get captured.
And then they have to save the world, which of course they do. But there's a lot of things that happen along the way. So Trent, are there any specific moments that we definitely need to talk about?
I mean, I want to call out the 1993 burnt orange station wagon because I think you and I both kind of grew up in a station wagon.
Well, that is a sensible vehicle. It literally
That's
says
right.
it. It is brand named
Yes.
Sensible.
Yes.
Yes, I had, what did we drive? One of my siblings is going to correct me. I think we had a 1979 Chevy Malibu.
Oh my God.
Station wagon.
Hot.
I'm pretty sure it was a 79. It could have been slightly later than that. Like I said, someone will correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, that was the first vehicle we had when we were kids. And then we upgraded to a minivan when there got to be too many of us to ride around in that.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But we didn't get rid of it. We just parked it on the lawn for many, many years until my brother could drive. They got it tuned up and it became lovingly referred to as the Beast.
Did this lovely vehicle have wood paneling by chance?
It did not.
Oh,
Very
no.
sad to say.
No, we had wood paneling at least on a couple of our station
Beautiful.
wagons.
Classic.
I cannot tell. I believe that one of them might have been a Plymouth. I couldn't tell you what the model or year was. I would probably have to ask my folks.
Well, and I know that your parents more than once loaded you up in that car and made you go on road trips.
Of course.
That was definitely a thing you did.
I took plenty of road trips in that car and in other vehicles. My parents went through so many different vehicles. It is ridiculous. Oh, God.
That's a whole thing.
That's a whole thing.
That's a whole other tangent we don't
thing.
have time for.
No, but I do remember being in that vehicle, but it was too many people to fit on all the seats in the front and in the middle, so me and my cousins would oftentimes ride in the way back.
The safest place in the car in the 80s and the 90s.
Of course, the safest place is where there's no seatbelts
Nope.
and hardly any padding on the back of the seats.
And really barely qualifying as a seat at all.
No, and of course you have the big glass on
Yes.
the back where you can just wave out at other drivers.
That was the whole
be
point.
Weird.
That was the whole point of that seat.
Right.
If you weren't back there waving at other drivers, were you really living your
You
life?
were missing out.
You were missing out.
But I wanted to call out the vehicle because it is that iconic thing that I'm sure all of the people who made this movie had a personal relationship with a station wagon at some point.
Some version of that affected their childhood deeply.
And again, it's around this time when we as moviegoers are going to start seeing a lot more movies that are made from a perspective such as ours. From people who grew up around the same time that we did. And I love it. I'm totally here for it.
Which is why this movie is so aggressively identifiable for
Yes,
us.
yes.
Relatable. So speaking of really relatable things that I don't know if this generation really gets the joke or if it's just there for the parents or us who are watching this, the Furby thing.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being in middle school and Furby was the toy. I never had one. I didn't really know anybody who had one.
I'd never had one, but my cousins did.
So for them to have thousands of Furbies making the real Furby noises, and then they make the joke, we must summon our Lord and Savior, and it's this massive, massive Furby. They didn't realize this is real. There is a real gigantic Furby that exists. I don't know where, but apparently that's a real thing, and that is terrifying.
Yes, it is.
But that is such a 1990s reference that I don't know if people get it. Do they make those anymore?
It's such a snapshot in time because in the late 90s, like there was always a news story about what's the hot new toy.
The craze. What's the craze?
Tickle Me Elmo was, I think, the first one?
Tickle
At least
Me
of
Elmo.
our generation.
Then the Furby, and then I don't know what after. Then it started being just like the gaming systems.
I guess,
Like
yeah.
it pretty quickly went from a toy to video game
Get
stuff.
the PlayStation 2. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Furby thing was very, it was very weird, and I don't know if a kid, like you said, I don't know if a kid watching this movie is really gonna get that.
Because I don't know if they make them.
Even the kids here didn't really know what they were.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like that reference is purely for our generation as the parents and the people bringing kids to this movie, not for the kids themselves.
But think about it. The Furby was maybe one of the first things where it was sold to you as this thing that is going to learn from you.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of the OG AI for our generation.
Yeah, but like it never worked. Like, you could talk to it, and supposedly it was going to understand you.
You just keep saying fuck and other swear words, trying to get it to repeat it.
But I don't think it ever did.
Like I said, I don't know anybody. Listeners, if you had a Furby, please tell us if you managed to get it to say anything, because that was the whole thing about this toy, was it would learn from you,
right,
and learn to speak. It only spoke gibberish until it picked up words from you like a parrot. I don't know how it worked. I don't know why it worked. I've only heard creepy stories about them just like kind of going off in the middle of the night and being freaky.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like the Gizmo Gremlin thing.
That's what it's
modeled after anyway. But it's supposed to be this cute thing that you just put on your dresser, and you're supposed to talk to it, and it'll go off in the middle of the night sometimes and like make sounds and may like sing to you. And what the weirdest thing about this movie is, they got all the actual sounds that this Furby made. Even the really, really big one here made the sound. It made like the song. I can't even do it. But when it flipped over, it made that sound, and yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's just an oddly specific reference that I would love somebody out there to tell me. Do they still make this? Because I don't have kids. I'm not in the toy store. I don't really know.
Or was it just a scam? Like, was the entire Furby craze just a scam?
Just to get your money. I believe that.
But of course, that entire sequence happens at, what do they call it? The Mall of the Globe, which is a play on the Mall of America.
It kind of seems like it.
Well, of course, they would put the Mall of the Globe in eastern Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, the geography of this trip was a little bit confusing.
Yeah, you think?
It kind of seemed like they were going the opposite direction sometimes.
Well, they went to St. Louis. They went to the St. Louis Arch, which would have been directly south from Michigan.
South and a little to the west.
And then they have to go to California from there, but they also made a stop in...
Yeah, they were taking the Goofy movie route. It was the swirly, going all over the place.
Yeah.
They didn't show us on the map. We didn't get the little dots.
They did not travel by map.
They did not travel by map, but that's the only thing that makes sense. Yes. For their destinations.
So, they went to eastern Colorado to the Mall of the Globe, which, again, we're in the Midwest. We have been to the actual Mall of America.
Once or twice or 50 times.
Or a lot of times. And I'll tell you this, guys. It's not all that's cracked up to be. It's a mall. It's a very large mall.
It's very big.
Yeah.
Quite big.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of unique things at this Mall of America that you're never going to see in any other mall, but it's still just a mall.
You'll get your steps in. Right. That's about it. That's all we can really say about it.
But I appreciate that number one, they got the look of the mall. They had all the different tiers of stores. They even had a couple of real stores.
There's real brands in this movie.
They had Waffle House on the way, which I thought was only in the South.
Again, the geography of which is confusing. I thought maybe they were in farther Kansas City. If they were in St. Louis, why would they go farther north to Colorado?
The geography didn't make any sense.
It was strange. Unless they have Waffle House in Colorado, which I don't think they do.
I don't think they do. And if they do, good God, we need to go. I desperately, desperately want to go to a Waffle House.
I know where the closest one is. It's still 6 hours away, but we'll get there eventually.
Kansas City.
It's not quite at Kansas City. It's on the way to Kansas City.
Okay, fine.
But yeah, they had that. They had a See's Candy.
See's Candies
which is
are real.
That a national chain? Do people know See's Candy?
Oh, totally.
And then Shasta Cola.
Shasta, yeah, there's just a one little thing. You don't even see the logo
The
that
full
closely,
logo.
but it's Shasta Cola on the table at the beginning of the movie.
Is that the Walmart brand, or is that
No.
just I always see it at
Shasta's
Walmart?
been around for decades, since I was a kid.
I only ever see it at Walmart. I genuinely don't
because
see that out in the wild.
no other stores want to carry such a thing.
Do they carry it nationwide?
Yes.
Like, you come around here, you get like Faygo. You know, that's a pretty Midwest
well,
thing.
Faygo is from Michigan.
Yeah, so
It's made in Michigan.
Why didn't they have Faygo instead of Shasta?
That's a great question.
What kind of people are these that live in Michigan and don't
these-
drink Faygo?
These are the questions that you come to never seen it for, ladies and gentlemen.
Only the important stuff. Speaking of important stuff, Trent, I know you've got more things that you want to talk about before we ramble for 3 hours.
Yes, so the little things that I really appreciate here, beyond like all the little visual touches, which I will get to in a minute, but it's when Katie is on her phone and you can see her typing to people, you can see her interacting with people, with the new friends that she's going to make at college. But the fact that the filmmakers here, they show her typing and there's autocorrect. She's mistyping letters, mistyping words, and the phone is autocorrecting her. Why would you need to put that in the movie? But it's awesome. I love that.
It was a great little touch.
I love that.
And it's one of those like blink and you miss it moments.
Totally. It's in 2 frames and it's gone.
There's several of those. Like the fact that at the very end of the movie, when she finally makes it to college, she's having a video call with her mom, and her mom says, "Are you and Jade official?"
Right.
But she says it so fast and in this long stream of words that I was like, wait.
Did you just say what we
Did she just
thought
say
you
what I
said?
think? Because it is very, very rare to have
Mm-hmm.
any kind of LGBTQ anything in what is defined as a children's movie, a kids
Mm-hmm.
movie. And it's just like and is she coming home? Wait, whoa, back up. What did you say?
Mm-hmm.
So just lots of little things thrown into this movie like that.
And, you know, it's a good thing that they don't call that much attention to it, because it isn't anything that needs to have attention brought to it.
And it's the end of the movie, and I was like, oh, okay. It gives another dimension to the character.
Yeah.
And that's it.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't-
but it does.
Doesn't add or detract anything, but also it adds everything.
To go along with the communication on her phone, like, I don't do this. I don't do this very often, at least, but she communicates with her friends via meme. Like, she creates memes and sends it to her friends, and her friends respond in kind with different memes. I guess that's how kids communicate these days.
Is it though? Because I'm not a child. I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea. Like, I very rarely make my own memes.
But that's the thing. She's doing it on the fly.
I do communicate in GIF, though.
Right, that's about it.
I like to find a really good reaction GIF.
We got a good GIF game between the two of us.
That is my skill set online. I'm never going to start with memes or new apps and things.
I don't think I have ever made a meme in my life.
I have a couple of times.
I think you have a few times.
Just a few.
Another thing that is very near and dear to my heart, there are 4 people in this family. 3 of them wear glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a glasses family.
My entire family wears glasses, including myself. And so does Betsy.
In my family, my dad wore them for a while, and then he went through 2 more years of puberty and his eyes fixed themselves, so he stopped wearing his glasses.
Sure they did.
I swear to God, he has 20/20 vision. Now he's starting to actually get to the age where he needs at least reading glasses. But my brother has 20/20, and every other person in my family wears either glasses or contacts.
Some correction.
But for a family of, if I haven't said this before, I'm one of 6 kids. For a family of 8 people, the fact that there's only one sibling who is just walking out in the world seeing shit. He just wakes up and experiences the world as it is.
What's that like?
In the event of an apocalypse like this, if my glasses fall off, I become that guy. My glasses! Where are my glasses?
Become the
I
Velma.
can't see without my glasses!
And there was just one more there was just a line that I wanted to bring up here. It's something that Pal says early on in the movie where she starts to take over. She describes this, like, I don't know, palace, this fortress, whatever the fuck it is. She says it is the rhombus of infinite subjugation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying at the beginning, she also says something about she hacks into some other competitors' like email, like private emails.
Right.
And the Mark guy says, it's almost like teaching AI to do things is bad and it's going to take over the world. And giving it your private information is a bad thing. And there's like a pause where everybody kind of looks at the camera sort of a moment.
Yeah.
They don't actually, but it's like,
might as well.
You know, while we're at it, let's throw some commentary about where we are as a people, as a society.
Yep, and this movie came out 2 years ago. Look where we are now.
Well, I just have one more thing before we wrap this up, Trent. This is coming out the week of our anniversary, and I will not be accepting screwdrivers as a gift.
No.
So if you think you're getting one, and if you think you're giving me one, you are mistaken.
Well, I'll tell you this. I know I don't own a screwdriver of which he is talking about here.
That specific kind.
But I do remember when I was a kid that the registers, meaning the place in the house where the air comes out when the furnace is running and shit like that, I know that those screws were that type of screw, the little square type.
This moment brought to you by Trent the Tinkerer, whose father was a mechanic.
And I knew where that screwdriver was in the house because it was my job to go and clean not the ducts, but I had to clean the registers on occasion. So I had to use that specific screwdriver to unscrew all the registers and take them out to clean. And
you were the flashlight holder and the screwdriver getter.
That's right.
So you had better know your screwdrivers.
So I am quite familiar with this type of screwdriver.
But I say again, that's not going to be presented to me.
We don't have any, so it's a
I'm
good idea.
not buying you a weird ass specific screwdriver for you to carry around in your pocket.
You need to carry with you everywhere.
Okay, then. Well, Trent, any other parting thoughts about the Mitchells versus the Machines before we wrap this one up?
I am very excited for this new era of filmmaking because, damn it, it has been lacking in our lives. We need more stories about weird little weirdos and like fucking nerds and yeah. I'm here for it.
All right. Well, listeners, if you are also here for it, we would love to hear from you about that very thing.
Are you weird little weirdos?
Or were you? Did your family give out screwdrivers for Christmas? Or have you taken one of these crazy cross-country road trips and gotten into all kinds of shenanigans?
Did you watch the Goofy movie like we did 1,500 times?
I'm just saying, if you haven't watched it, go watch that. Go watch this. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're very right.
But we would love to hear from you. You should send us an email, neverseenapod@gmail.com. We mentioned in the beginning there was kind of a through line from the last animated movie we did, Moana, and we actually hadn't touched on that yet, but basically the filmmakers who made that went over to Sony from Disney at the time this film was being developed.
Which, by the way, there was a little bit of a nod to Disney when they went to the dino shop. The dino word on the sign had the Disney D.
Or at least a
facsimile of it.
They probably can't get away with using the actual Disney D.
Probably not.
But yeah, I was under the impression that it was actually those filmmakers. The way we read that little nugget of information suggested that. But it's not. It's just they came over here at the time they were making this movie.
But speaking of Moana,
we did get some emails that we have been holding on to.
2 months.
2 months.
2 months we've been holding on to these.
Sometimes you just wait for the right moment, and this is it. This is the moment here and now. We're going to read these emails. The first of them is from our superfan Stephanie. She begins, "We are big fans of Moana in my house. We watch it more than Frozen."
What? Sacrilege.
"Maui is so good. Moana is great. Jermaine is hilarious. The grandma is wonderful. The music is awesome. And the chicken is the best."
I mean, the chicken and the dog are very similar with the weird eyes.
The bug eyes.
And the fact that the animal doesn't actually have a voice it is acting like an animal. Like the chicken in that movie is an animal. It's a very stupid animal.
The chicken is a chicken, and
Right.
this dog is a dog.
And this dog is a dog, also voiced by a dog.
First time in animation history. She continues, you can definitely see the Lin-Manuel Miranda in this movie, and I like it. Love it, and you too, from Superfan Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie. Short and sweet.
Our next email is from Mitch from Saskatoon. He says, hi guys, thank you for covering Moana. My kids love this movie. It is fun, looks great, and lets you go throughout your day toes a-tappin'. A few notes. Tomatoa, the giant crab, is in the realm of the monsters, which is located in an area, quote, under the sea. Because if you remember, Trent, the directors of this movie also directed The Little Mermaid.
Right, and speaking of like creatures who don't talk, that is the only creature that does talk in that movie.
Yep, who is a non-human or
Correct.
humanoid.
Correct.
You guys are so right. No need for a remake, but we're supposedly getting a live-action remake of Moana.
I
So
haven't
what do you
heard
know?
anything about that. But apparently they are thinking about doing another Mitchells versus Machines.
That would be fun. I'm
Yeah,
here for it.
yeah.
He continues, Trent is right that the feature song here was warranted and Let It Go was overdone and unearned.
Thank you again. Go listen to Frozen and tell me I'm wrong.
Jafar, Disney princess? Now I have images of drag Jafar in my head with that goatee. At the end of the episode, Trent said Peloponnesian people. It's Polynesian. Someone studied the Greeks too much. Peloponnesian.
Yeah, that's my bad because I honestly was just finishing playing a video game with the other kind of P word.
Well, and we had talked about the new Indiana Jones where they covered the same thing, Peloponnesian.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, sometimes, you're recording and you say words and you don't catch it and, you just have to live with that.
It just feels right in your mouth and you just gotta say it.
Yeah, we're human. That'll happen. But yes, thank you, Mitch, for that email. Thank you, Stephanie, as well.
You didn't say how Mitch ended his email. He said, keep posting, yo, Mitch. Thank you, Mitch.
I'm so sorry to have overlooked that. I'm so sorry. But yes, thank you both for your emails. We love hearing from you and all of our other listeners. So if you are out there and you have some thoughts on this movie, Moana, anything we have covered, we've got lots of episodes. We've got Thanksgiving going on.
Yeah, we'll try not to wait 2 months in order to read it.
We will try not to. But we would love for you to email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. You can also reach out to us on any of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky even, Instagram, whatever floats your boat. Send us a message on there. Maybe we'll read it on the show.
We probably will.
We probably will. It just might be in 2 months. Sorry about that, guys. But if you would do us the greatest favor, go onto your podcast app of choice, rate us 5 stars or whatever the absolute maximum you are allowed to rate us. Go to the top of the scale, rate us that, write us a review, tell your friends about us. We would appreciate any and all of those things because they all help get us in front of more people and support the show. But that is going to be it for the Mitchells versus the Machines. Thank you once again, one and all, for listening to this episode all the way to the very, very end. Thank you, Trent, as always, for being my co-host.
Thank you, Betsy.
As I said, we are smack in the middle of Thanksgiving, so you can look forward to those Wednesday episodes for the rest of the month of November. We've got a couple of other random ones on the Sundays. I think we've got 2 of those left, something like that.
A couple of those left. We got 3 more Thanksgivings, and of course, we mentioned it in the last one, this Wednesday is Castaway.
Oh boy, here we go. But until then, this has been another episode of Never Seen It. My name is Betsy.
And my name is Trent.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.